Well, Lamine Yamal has really taken it up a notch in Barca's last 6 matches across all competitions, scoring 5 goals and assisting on 2. Now, this is a very important part of the season, with Barca currently competing in La Liga, Champions League, and Copa del Rey. So, Troy, we know that Lamine Yamal, he has yet to hit his peak. So how much of a step forward do you think that he has taken this season? Where do you think he's continued to improve his game in the last couple months?
I think his game's improved, but I also think his mental has now is started to grow up a bit more. Obviously, he's still a very, very young man. There's still going to be, I think, maybe 2-3 more phases of his growth and development to come, both mentally and physically. But I think when you look at what he's had to deal with already at such a young age, I go back to when we was talking around November. He nursed a groin injury, goes to the national team, pulls himself out, all of the debacle that goes to that, comes back, and has probably been arguably better, shows where he's mentally at. I think this Barcelona team will be great for the next 15 years because of this young man, and he's exciting to watch in a generation of wingers that play side to side, get to the byline, cut back, go to somebody else. He's direct. He wants to kill the opposition, but with a beauty and a grace. Look at the way he does. He goes past people here. And most importantly for me, he wants to score and he wants to win. So many players now are stat padding and wondering, how much is my pass percentage? Yeah. Is it over 90%? Him, Elise, look at the people on that list. They want to score, they want to win, they want to assist, and they want to win everything. And I just think he's a fantastic, fantastic footballer. And I was worried with the injury situation and how that would play itself out and develop. Would he start getting some hate from the Spanish crowd around over grounds? He seems to have put that to bed. I do wonder, though, is he going to be fit and available for the whole of this season and for the World Cup? And if Barcelona lose him, but Spain lose him, it's going to be a massive blow. What
was prime Lamine Yamal? If you just took his career up until now, prime Lamine Yamal, to me, was the semifinal against Inter, both legs, right? Yeah. That was like, you know, in NBA Street Volume 2, when you get the game breaker and you could do anything you want, it felt like he could do anything he wanted in that series against Inter.
I'll take it even back. The NBA Jam. He's on fire.
There he is. Unstoppable, right? So he's slowly starting to become that again, and I think it took him a while to get started again because of the injury. Like it's an injury. Pubalgia is an injury that doesn't go away. It's kind of there. It's nagging. I mean, talk about the amount of games. Remember what happened to Pedri? Pedri looked physically exhausted, like several years back.
There's a famous picture when he's in the Spain shirt, the white shirt. His face is the same color of his shirt, Pedri. He played 73 games in 11 months.
It's brutal.
Ridiculous.
I get it. They're young. I don't know, Troy, how you interpret this with the gross amount of football that you're subjecting a lot of these young players to.
I think they obviously... I understand it. It's a luxury and a privilege to play this many games because that means you're competing in everything. I think the way the game is tweaked from a physical terms of the hits that these guys take helps. But also, if you're running 12K every day, every game, it does become, taxing on the body. So, yeah, I would like to see the managers utilise it. I think we're not far away from a much bigger squads being issued.
We've heard managers start to call for that. More players on the bench, more players in the squad.
Exactly.
Yeah, let's bring in another voice into the conversation, our CBS Sports La Liga correspondent, Phil Kitromilides. Phil, you've been listening behind the scenes to what we've been talking about here. How important does Lamine Yamal is to Barcelona and to Spain? Do you think that Barca is at a time where they really need to start managing his minutes to make sure that he will have a long, healthy career?
I've been listening and I've been sort of nodding along and agreeing with almost everything that's been said because I think you're right on almost everything that's been mentioned. Lamine had this issue, the pubalgia, the groin problem, which he actually had an invasive surgery on in November, and he's come back. And since then, in the last 13 matches in La Liga, he's played all but 15 minutes. He started and played every game in the Copa del Rey. He rested because he was suspended on match day 7 in the Champions League against Slavia Prague. But apart from that, he's just playing almost every week and almost the entire of the game. He is young, he is flying, and I think the manager just wants to get the most out of him and take advantage of this extraordinary bit of form that he's in. Listen, I've got so much I want to say about Lamine. There is so much we can talk about. But is this the best version of Lamine Yamal we've seen up until now? And I actually think it is. We were saying, is Lamine back to his best? I think he is. I think he's actually better than he was last season, because the numbers are really good this season, really, really good. You know, he scored 14 goals in all comps. He got 18 in all comps last season. He's going to get more than that. If you look at the metrics in La Liga, he's got most passes in the final third of any player, most assists, most successful dribbles than any other player. 38 successful dribbles more than the second in that metric, who's Kylian Mbappe. He's absolutely flying. But what I like about Lamine is that he has seemed to develop and mature in the final third. Last season, it felt like he was shooting a lot. And you know the kind of move, on the right, cutting in, left foot, edge of the box, get that shot away. I went back and had a look, and I was like, is he shooting less this season? And actually, he's not. He's shooting the same per game, 4.2 shots per game. But where those shots are coming from are slightly different. Last season, it was 2 shots per game outside of the box. That's dropped down to 1.5 shots per game outside of the box. I think he's choosing better when to shoot, and I think that's just showing the maturity and the development of his play. He is an absolutely generational talent. And the good news is he's only a teenager. You know, we've still got a year and a half before we can talk about him not being a teenager. He's absolutely flying. And also something about that Troy was saying about the mental side. I've been in lots of stadiums this season. Fans, opposition fans, are starting to whistle Lamine Yamal for no reason, just because he's the best player on the pitch. They're whistling him, and he is dealing with that very, very well.
Now, Phil, you quickly mentioned Mbappe, and despite all the drama surrounding Real Madrid, they're still just 1 point off Barcelona. How do you rate their chances going into the business part of this season?
Listen, the league puts everyone in their place. I think at the end of the season, the best team usually wins the league title. And the best team this season, by some distance in terms of the actual football being played, is Barcelona. It's only 1 point at the moment, the distance, because earlier on in the season, Barcelona were missing Rafinha, they were missing Joan Garcia, Lamine Yamal was out injured. They weren't at their best. Obviously, Real Madrid have had injuries too. But Barcelona were missing key players, and Real Madrid took advantage of that. They won the Clásico, and they're a point clear. But Barcelona are just light years ahead of how Real Madrid are playing at the moment. And I think at the end of the season, the best team tends to win. Now, why are Real Madrid just a point behind them? Because they've got possibly the best striker in the world and the best goalkeeper in the world. And in both penalty areas, they have players that are, difference makers. Mbappe scoring a ridiculous amount of goals, and Courtois is saving big chances for the opposition, and that has led them to be a point behind. But in terms of a structure, in terms of a team, in terms of how they're playing, it's night and day between Barcelona and Real Madrid. So at the end of the season, Barcelona really should be champions. But this is football, it's unpredictable, that's why we watch it, that's why we love it.
Phil, you know where else is night and day? Endrick in Real Madrid and Endrick in Lyon, because he's been on an absolute tear. We know how good he is. We know of his potential. But what are they saying in Madrid, in Spain? I imagine it could be along the lines of, oh, of course. Well, he wasn't good enough to be cut out at Real Madrid. Like, he has to go to a lower league like in France to be able to be this good.
Not quite. I think people are looking at what he's doing and are actually quite encouraged, and are thinking, oh, you know what? When he comes back next season, let's see what he can do. But it's not like people are looking at that and thinking, oh, you see, we should have kept him because he's going there and he's scoring goals. Not really, because Real Madrid's problems are not in the scoring goals, because they've got Kylian Mbappe to do this. And really, the like-for-like change for Kylian Mbappe would have been Endrick, but he wasn't going to get many minutes and he needed to develop. And they decided to keep Gonzalo Garcia instead of him. Remember, Gonzalo Garcia is going to be 22 next month. Endrick is still 19, so he's a little bit further on in his development, and they thought, we'll keep him, send Endrick out on loan to get these minutes, score these goals, and just to get back to feeling what it's like to be a footballer, because he barely played. He barely played. So his confidence is flying now. He's looking after himself very well. He's taken his personal trainer with him. He's got his personal chef. He's not doing anything. There was a story in the Madrid press today saying saying Endrick just goes to training and goes back home, and then goes to training and goes back home. He's completely focused on life in France. So let's see how he ends the season.
A Brazilian that doesn't party is
he's got to be doing something, right?
I don't like. I don't like it.
He did get married very young. He did get married very young, so he is already married. So he goes home to his wife and they chill out.
I don't know whether you can see the images that we're seeing, but you can see Endrick just physically in the face. You know that puppy fat's gone, hasn't it? He's there. He's playing. I do wonder though with Endrick, and maybe it's a bad comparison, but does he have to move like a Martin Ødegaard, where he went there young? Real Madrid wasn't a fit for him, and then he goes somewhere else and has the career that we all know he can have.
Or he bides his time, because I think if Martin Ødegaard had stayed at Real Madrid, there would have been a time when he would have come into the starting 11, but obviously he wasn't prepared to sit around.
You know that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people do stick around at Real Madrid because it is a difficult place to leave, because you're on a very nice contract and very nice trading and a lovely place to live, etc., etc. But no, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens when he comes back next year, and to see who else is there next season as well. Whether it's the same forwards who are there. Vinicius still hasn't signed a new contract, so let's see what happens next season.